What's going on, guys? I'm Zach from the Lumios Post, where we talk about all things Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about some really cool Easter eggs in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Given that the franchise is like 27 years old, it's kind of without question that they're going to put Easter eggs to their other games in a game. Yeah, it's pretty standard, not hard to believe stuff, and today we're going to be talking about what Scarlet and Violet has to offer. So first, let's start with something just super easy. There's a lot of characters in this game that come from different regions. So, the foreign language teacher, his name is Salvatore, I believe. He speaks French a lot, which implies that he would be from the Pokemon version of France, which of course is Kalos. Then we have Miss Reifert, the history teacher. While she never is outright stated to be from another region, her attire has a lot of Alola stuff in it. She's got like a Tapu Koko ring, and she has a Lunala belt buckle and a Marshadow like hairpin, I guess you would say. And she does also have an Articuno pendant. That one's kind of the odd one out, but all these would imply that she's from Alola. You can kind of dig a little further into this if you wanted to and say that she has like a cowgirl aesthetic about her, like her clothes are very cowgirl-esque, so she could in fact be from the Paniola town in the Alola region, which of course is the little ranch town found on Akala Island. Kiawe and his family is from there. Now, next we have something really interesting. This game didn't have any characters from past games appear like we've seen before, but it did have the work of a past character appear, and I'm not talking about the Rotom Dex, I'm actually talking about Sonia. So Sonia's book that she wrote about her kind of journey in Galar, or rather about the Sword and Shield characters' journey in Galar and the whole event with Eternatus and the dogs coming back to save the day, is featured in the school, whether it be Naranja Academy or Uva Academy. In both versions it's there. You can find her book, and you can find her like talking about specifically the moment where Bede had tore down that wall with Rose's Caparajah and revealed that there was a statue of Zacian and Zamazenta, because they were the true heroes of the Darkest Day. So that's really cool that Sonia is kind of not seen, but very much referenced in the games by having her own book out. And it also seemingly confirms that these games are in the Mega Timeline, which of course has been this big fan theory about there being a timeline with no Mega Evolution, timeline with Mega Evolution. Most people wrote off Sword and Shield as being in the timeline with no Mega Evolution, given that it had, no Mega Evolutions. But it seems that this actually confirms it's in the Mega Evolution timeline, which brings us to our next Easter egg, and that is Mega Evolution being referenced. So we actually see Mega Evolution referenced in the Culture books, in Pokemon Scarlet, and in the Pokedex in Pokemon Violet. All of this is surrounding Roaring Moon. So Roaring Moon is stated to be connected, according to a dubious magazine, be connected to a phenomenon that occurs in another region or in other parts of the world. This is clearly a reference to Mega Evolution, as Roaring Moon's design very much resembles that of Mega Salamence's design. So that is really neat to kind of just get that world building where they're referencing Mega Evolution, even though we don't have access to it. On that note, there's actually a lot of Kalos references in these games. So given that Paldea is set in Spain and Portugal, Iberian Peninsula, in the real world, well, it makes sense that it would neighbor Kalos, because the real world, Spain and Portugal, or Spain specifically, neighbors France. Now, while this isn't outright stated to be the case, you can find 3 dragon trainers in the northeast of the Paldea region, so next to the border of what would be the Kalos-Paldea border, and they use a Gudra, a Dragalge, and a Noivern, respectively. Now, this is important because these 3 Pokemon are all Kalos dragons. They are from the Kalos region. That's where they made their debut, Gen 6, and they are all just the only dragons in Kalos other than Zygarde. So it is interesting to see Kalos get referenced here. And there's some other kind of coincidental stuff that I do cover in this video. If you want to check out about kind of all the Kalos Easter eggs in this game, but those are kind of the biggest ones, as well as just aside from them mentioning Mega Evolution, Roaring Moon and Iron Valiant's design very much resembling Mega Salamence and Mega Gallade and Mega Gardevoir. Now we have some really cool references to Pokemon's other 2022 game, and that is Hisui, Pokemon Legends Arceus. That region, rather, that was in that game. You get the point. So we actually get references to Hisui kind of all over the place. The most obvious one being when you take the history classes offered at the school. You will see on the board behind Miss Reifert, there is a picture of I totally forget the name, but the big galactic building, or galaxy rather, building that is in Jubilife Village, as well as a picture of Professor Laventon and a little diagram of the Hisui Pokeball, which of course was the first Pokeball. So all that is really, really neat, but there's more still. So we actually can see in Stantler's Dex entry that Weirdeer is referenced. It states that Stantler once had enough psychic energy that it was able to evolve from it. So that's really cool that they kind of openly reference that Stantler at one point could evolve into Weirdeer, and it does seem to kind of also confirm that Weirdeer may indeed be lost to time. There's, of course, no way to evolve Stantler in these games to Weirdeer, at least no known way yet. It's kind of coded at the game that it can evolve, but we can't figure out how. So it is nice to kind of still get confirmation that Weirdeer did exist. You know, they're not going for a retcon or anything, which I never expected them to, but some of y'all did. I've seen people say it. Anyways, this isn't the only thing referenced in the class, the Hisui region. We also can see some smaller things like Alola Raichu and some pictures of Alola being featured in the foreign language class, as well as the teacher Salvatore having a little Alolan Raichu tail pin on his shirt. So all of that is really, really cool. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet actually also reference regions future, as in just regions that we will see in the future, or maybe not. It doesn't matter. They reference regions that we haven't seen yet. So first we get a Brazil region referenced with Quaxly's Dex entry, or specifically Quackwavel's, where it says that Quaxly came from a faraway region, and Quackwavel's, it says that performs dances from faraway regions. And while this may not be a Brazil reference, I'm leaning that it is, because the dance that Quackwavel does and the kind of dancer that it is modeled after is a samba dancer, and samba dancing originated in Brazil, so it would make a lot of sense that that's where Quackwavel's from. Then we also have a China region referenced with the Ruins of Treasure, as they're said to come from a region in the east. Given that their names are literally Chinese words, it's very likely that this is a reference to a Chinese region, so that makes sense. Then we also even have an India region reference, though I suppose this could be another reference to China, with Caparaj's Dex entry stating that it came from a faraway land and was brought from there to Paldea. And, you know, Caparaja's clearly an Indian elephant. It was even kind of confirmed as such in Legends Arceus. So it probably was from an India region, but Indian elephants can also be found in some parts of China, so it could also just be another reference to the Chinese region. But either way, it's cool to have these regions referenced. You could also make the argument that a Mexico and Egypt region were referenced just in the designs of Skeledirge being Mexico and Egypt, with Rabsca and Espathra being more Egyptian. But the regions aren't outright stated, so I'm not really counting that one. There's just design inspirations in Skeledirge's design for Mexico and for Egypt, and there's design inspirations in Rabsca and Espathra for Egypt. So, you know, that it could be a little reference they're doing there, but it also could be nothing because, you know, we've gotten koalas in Hawaii and pandas in France. So, you know, I wouldn't look too much into that one, but it is interesting nonetheless. Now, before we close off the video, instead of naming all the things that is in the Paldea region for little Easter eggs, I want to talk about something that actually isn't in there that's kind of crazy, and that is a GameFreak office. Now, normally in past games, there's been somewhere where you can meet the staff of GameFreak, and usually Junichi Masuda will give you a little certificate when you complete your decks or something, but that's actually not the case in this game. Nowhere can you find the GameFreak office in this game, which is kind of wild. I think it was like that for Legends Arceus as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but before that, I mean, we had it in Sword and Shield, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, we had it in Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, you know, so it is kind of weird to see it be gone when we've had it for so long. But there you have it, guys. Those are the Easter eggs that I found in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. If you found something else, please be sure to let me know in the comments below. I love Easter eggs. I mean, who doesn't? You know, they're even named after just such a fun thing, Easter eggs. So I love hearing about them. So again, drop them in the comments below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss all of our future, you know, post Scarlet and Violet videos and breakdowns, and analysis, and finds, theories, all that fun stuff we cover on the channel, and more. So like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Until next time, I will see all of you later.